Starch is life. We all depend on starch and plants. Well, we depend on plants to make starch because they capture the power of the sun and air. They combine it, they store it, and what we consume is the delicious sugary glucose sugars that we crave in the form of starch. We, as animals, we consume starch as our primary fuel source. And not only that, glucose is the only real readily accessible and readily available fuel source that our brain accepts. And I need to think a lot, so I need to eat a lot of starch. Not only just that, starch is very important, and we need it, and it's part of a big industry, and it's very valuable. And that is where I somewhat fit in. Starch has some negative press. People eat a lot of starch. Why not? It's accessible, it's abundant. You can get a belly full of starch for quite cheap. But because of that, people are getting a bit fat, they're getting a bit sick. And that's not really good. So that's why I've developed an analytical chemistry instrument-based protocol to look into the release of sugars and the breakdown of starch during artificial digestion. In that way, not only are we looking to monitor the release of glucose, which, as we know, can contribute to blood glucose response, but we are also looking to other sugars like fructose, which has recently been discovered to contribute to a blood glucose response. But we can also look into the more complex glucose chain sugars, because with starch, glucose is in a long linear kind of chain and ravels together and together, forming layers upon layers. And it's a very complicated macromolecule. In other words, very complicated big starch thing. And that is why, using such a tool, we are able to somewhat unravel the mysteries of starch. And we can look into the release of glucose and fructose and how they break down into our bodies, possibly, and especially maybe in the distant future. The industry in particular may be able to use something that I've developed and create that as a foundation to monitor the release of these kind of sugars and create some foods which have a lower digestibility characteristics. And if we're shooting very high, I'm really hoping for low GI 10 times. Thank you for listening.